The United Nations headquarters in New York, imposing and impressive, a world body still representative of large and small nations, and a genuine forum for debate and discussion. An organisation with nearly 200 countries as members, all signing up for cooperation in international law, security, economic development and social equity. But, according to the UK government, it is in much need of reform, along with other big players like the IMF and the World Bank.
We're part of a group of the Commonwealth countries, as well as part of a discussion in the European Union about major reform of the international institutions. I think we found with the financial crisis, the credit crunch, that we've got no proper early warning system about issues of financial stability for the world economy. We got the Financial Stability Forum, which we actually played a part in setting up, but I think the International Monetary Fund, which used to deal with balance of payments crises that countries had in what were basically sheltered economies, has got to change for the new global economy. So we need that early warning system. We need to be better at dealing with issues of financial stability at a global level.
Valid institutional change, not for change's sake, but change to reflect on the new needs of a modern society.
It is about developing effective international institutions. I think it's important that you know that I believe in international institutions as being great civilizing forces in the modern world. When I think of the UN or regional organizations like the EU or cross-regional organizations like the Commonwealth, to which I want to return, these are institutions that have helped promote prosperity and tackle insecurity and reduce inequality in the post-Second World War period. But the truth is, most of the existing institutional architecture was built for the 1960s and 1950s, not the world in which we live in today.
Mid-year in 2008 saw the Commonwealth meet with the Prime Minister in Downing Street to discuss such possible reforms.
I think we are agreed that we need a major reform of the international institutions, that the IMF, the World Bank, United Nations and other institutions that were built in the 1940s for the problems of the 1940s and beyond are not adequate for purpose, not fit for purpose for the challenges we face in 2008 and beyond.
The argument for change put in a different way too from FCO Minister Lord Mark Malloch Brown, once a Deputy Secretary General of the UN.
This is the moment to say, yes, we need to make the UN more efficient, but not because efficiency and cost-cutting is an objective in itself, but so that we can, in a moment of global change and opportunity, refit and fashion the UN for a moment as potentially historically decisive as 1945, a moment when leaders of right and left, of east and west and north and south, have been obliged to recognize that they no longer are masters of their own national destinies. They have to combine to address global problems. So for the UN, it's not a time for modesty. It's a time to kind of, if you like, get our house in order, but come back fighting with a vision which global leaders can sign up to.
Even the UK's relatively new Europe Minister this year pushing for change.
We also need to ensure that the UN General Assembly is more than a talking shop. When the UN works, it's a powerful instrument for good, as the recent success on the arms trade shows. How many lives will be saved because of this piece of paper? But these successes have to become more frequent and more assured. We want to reform the international system to ensure that the words are matched with actions.
And it was in November that Prime Minister Brown again repeated his call for a new global order based on international cooperation.
But I believe we could make a far better choice. I want this to be the moment when together we rise to the new challenges by purposeful, visionary and international leadership, leaving behind some of the orthodoxies of yesterday, embracing new ideas to create a better tomorrow, not as victims of history, but as shapers of an open, free trade, flexible globalization that is also inclusive and sustainable.
The challenge, according to Prime Minister Brown, is to build consensus for not only a new global financial system, but also a very real need for global bodies to recognise that they too have to change to embrace modern concerns for greater stability and equality amongst all nations. 2008 was the year in which the UK government spoke repeatedly for valid reform across global bodies. This debate is set to continue.